Hello and welcome to the Philippines. There is some competition between countries trying to attract the tourist dollar, the retirement dollar, the medical tourism dollar, the business dollar. Today I'm going to be talking about some comparisons between the Philippines and Thailand. About 3 years ago, I had made up my mind I was going to move to Thailand. After additional research, I decided I was going to go to the Philippines instead. And let's just get into it here. We each have different priorities, and you need to sit down and really make a list of those, the most important things to you. One of the things on my list was the English language. I don't speak other languages. I know a little Spanish, but there are people in Thailand who speak English. My understanding is that they are pretty much concentrated in the tourist type areas, Pattaya, Bangkok, different tourist type areas where they pretty much need to know English and perhaps even a couple other languages to deal with the millions of tourists. Once you get away from those areas, you're going to have a difficult time finding somebody who is either speaks English or who is comfortable speaking English and carrying on conversation. Many people in the Philippines speak English. It is their second language, and it is taught in their schools. In fact, many people here in the Philippines speak 3 languages. They speak their local language in Cebu, it's Cebuano or Bisaya, Tagalog or Filipino, which is the national language, and then many of them speak English as well. I've had people tell me that, no, they only know a little bit of English, and yet I've carried on a conversation quite well with them here. On the other hand, you have to be careful because their sentence structure, the words that they use sometimes are a little bit different than what you're used to. So sometimes you have to repeat requests. Sometimes you have to carry on that conversation a little longer to make sure you each understand what you're trying to get across. Number 2, how easy is it to enter the country and to stay in the country long term? The Philippines makes it very easy on a tourist visa to stay here up to 3 years before you have to leave the country. And you do that with regular extensions to your visa. You can do it 1 month at a time, 2 months at a time, 6 months at a time, up to 3 years. And you have to leave the country for at least a day or part of a day and come back in. Thailand, on the other hand, I understand they've been changing the rules, and it is becoming more and more difficult to stay long-term in the Philippines. There are visas where you can deposit large sums of money in both countries and get a longer, more permanent type visa as well. They also have education visas, work visas. I'm not going to get into that. That's a whole specialty area. But in Thailand, Vietnam, other countries, you have to do regular border runs, which means you've got to leave the country regularly and come back. At one point in Thailand was every 90 days. Now, somebody told me the other day it was sooner than that now that they'd changed it. These countries can change the rules at any time, so you need to keep up to date about where you're planning on traveling as well. Number 3, climate. Both countries have a rather hot and humid climate. The only way to get into the cooler areas is to go up in elevation. Both countries have some mountainous areas and developments, housing outside of the main cities, so you can go up in elevation. Cebu City, where I live in Cebu, the Philippines, in fact, you've got developments starting to go up the sides of the mountains here, so those are options. Number 4, food. I think the consensus pretty much is that Thailand has better food generally than in the Philippines. A famous way of cooking that includes combining different types of flavors. And Thai food is often sought after in many other countries as well. Number 5, cost of living. I've talked to a lot of people who have lived and worked in both Thailand and the Philippines. I've done some online research as well. And there's some conflicting, contradictory information depending upon who you talk to. But most of the information that I get is that it is more expensive to live in Thailand in general than it is in the Philippines. In fact, I had lunch with a couple people yesterday. One of those people had lived and worked in Thailand and even had and even had a Thai driver's license. And they were telling me that indeed they were sure it was 20 to 25% less expensive to live in the Philippines than it is in Thailand. Now, of course, there are many factors involved in that. Where are you going to live? Are you going to live in the city center at the high rent areas? Are you going to live on the outside of that area? Are you going to live out in the country? You can make many choices that are going to affect your cost of living and your standard of living. But anyway, I'm going to throw some figures out. I found some numbers on a site called numbeo.com, and I will give you some figures here. Many of you will have a lower monthly budget than what these figures are, but this is the figures that they used. I think it was based on renting a 3-bedroom house or apartment. So the figures are higher than what I spend monthly, but anyway, use it as a reference point. And I compared Cebu City area with Chiang Mai, which is a very popular destination for foreigners in the north of Thailand. And they stated that in Cebu City area, a monthly budget would be $1,993, and for that same standard of living in Chiang Mai in Thailand would be $2,173 per month. So that is about $200 more to live in Thailand. Of course, there again, it's going to depend upon your choices. Number 6, healthcare. Philippines, the bigger cities have good to very good healthcare services, hospitals. Manila has many excellent hospitals there. Cebu City has a couple excellent hospitals. Once you get out of the larger cities in the Philippines, my understanding is that the healthcare services that are available drops off quite rapidly. I believe that the medical infrastructure in Thailand is more consistent, spread out over the country from what I've heard and read. Their medical tourism industry is quite strong. One point to note, I read that Thailand doctors specialize and do more penis reattachments than any other place in the world. So I suggest you don't get your wife or girlfriend upset at you there. But it is my understanding that Thailand does a pretty good job on the healthcare side. Number 7, beaches and resorts. Thailand is known for some of its great beaches and resorts, and the Philippines also. The Philippines likewise has a great number of great beaches, white sand beaches, diving locations, and my understanding is that the Philippines would win out overall for the number and quality of some of these locations. I've had a long discussion with a couple of Australians who are involved in diving lessons and diving tours here, who have dived all over the world, and they tell me that this is some of the best water that they've dived in the world here in the Philippines. Crime. The information that I've read online states that both the Philippines and Thailand have relatively high crime rates, but I didn't see a breakdown of that. My understanding, based on a number of conversations as well as other things that I've read, is that crime in general is lower in Thailand than it is here in the Philippines. And obviously it's going to depend upon what areas you're in, what your lifestyle is. Pollution. Air pollution, water pollution, garbage on the side of the road, garbage pickup, water treatment plants, all that type of thing. Both countries are rated relatively poor in that area. Both countries are making improvement. One of the most important items for me is just comfort level, the culture and my comfort level living in that culture. I find the Philippine people to be extremely friendly. I can walk and I can stop on the street and talk to almost anybody, and they'll stop and take an interest. It's not unusual when I walk or in a store or wherever, if I stop to talk to one person, it's just a matter of minutes before I have a number of people, 3, 4, 5, 6 other people, kind of joining in on the conversation, listening in, and interested in me, interested in the culture, interested in what I think of the Philippines. those types of things. Now, I think Thai people are friendly, but the fact that most of them do not speak English might smile at you, but the fact that they don't speak English, there's a problem in communicating. So that's just a brief discussion of the pros and cons of living in the two different countries. I'm comfortable here in the Philippines. I do plan on visiting Thailand sometime in the coming year, and look forward to that, as well as visiting some other countries as well. Thank you for coming along. Please like, please share the video, please subscribe. Safe travels to you all wherever you are, and we'll see you next time.